Hello, welcome to Work Life Matters by DEEN. The counseling session this time around we'll be looking at crisis management. I'm Dean Agbola Ibrahim. I'm the counselor for this crisis management session. I'm an author, a mathematician, a poet, and artist, US trained management consultant. I was the former head of production management at the Nigerian Institute of Management, Victoria Island, Lagos, Nigeria. Presently, I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Onyx Associates. I'm an artist and I draw things, so this is an illustration. What do you notice? Crisis, tsunami, overturning train, operating trees. You can see the human being running away from the storm, hanging on the lamppost, on the street light. This is what crisis does. Time of intense dilemma, anguish. What is a crisis? An emotionally charged disruptive situation. Imagine those people in that tsunami. Imagine that person who was hanging on the lamppost. An unstable or crucial time in which a decisive change is impending. Like the coronavirus, what it has done to the world today. Time of intense difficulty, where important decisions have to be made. 9/11, terrorist attack, collapsed building, divorce. Time of intense difficulty, important decisions have to be made. But one thing about crisis, it has danger, threats, but there is also opportunity to learn, opportunity to reinforce, to review, to rebuild, to restore, to reinvigorate. That is what crisis brings along. Danger and opportunity, threats and opportunity. So this is one of my sayings. Say, fortunately, there is fortune in misfortune. What I'm trying to say here is, yes, crisis is misfortune. But even if we look at the spelling of misfortune, if you reduce it, if you just overlook the MIS, what do you find? Fortune. So I'm playing with words here. I say, fortunately, there is fortune in misfortune. There is opportunity in crisis. You must not forget that, please. So this crisis is disruption of normal operations. Airlines are closed down. We cannot go to bars. We cannot go to church. We cannot go to mosque. We cannot go to our business because of lockdown. Disruption of normal operations. The file is missing. There is fire. We cannot do the normal things we do. And one thing about crisis is it can escalate. Endemic in one place, then it becomes an epidemic, then it escalates to a pandemic. A small fire burns one building, burns you, it can burn the whole city down. Escalation. Just a small group of terrorists leading to civil war, and even have world war. Escalation. Reputation is damaged when the crisis is going on, particularly when it is a scandal in the workplace and it's in the newspaper, and every time they are referring to the case, calls media attention to itself. And crises do affect the economy, the bottom line of the organization. You can have personal one, you can have family, you can have business, you can have local, you can have state, you can have national crisis. Fire, bomb explosion, disruption of vital information. One particular document that you need to be able to make decision is destroyed or is missing. natural disaster, election violence, health and emergency situation like the pandemic that is ravaging the world presently, which eventually we get over it. But it's here now causing what? A crisis. Why? It disrupts normal operation. You listen to the radio all the time, what do we hear? Coronavirus, COVID-19, COVID-19. It calls normal attention, it calls media attention to itself. So those are the characteristics of crisis. You have known unknown, unknown unknown. Known unknown are the things that we know they will happen in our lives, in our businesses, only we don't know when they will happen. Particularly in workplaces, if you have experienced lost document before, you know it can happen. But when will the next one happen, you don't know. So lost document for that organization is a known unknown. If you have experienced fire before, you know it can happen, only you don't know when the next one will happen. In some TC, collapsed building is a crisis. It has collapsed before, but where will the next one be? Where will it be? Those are known unknown. But unknown unknown are the one you have not seen before. In some places, they have never experienced earthquake. But when the first earthquake struck, that unknown unknown now became what? A known unknown. So you have to assess the risk that you are facing. You have to assess how vulnerable you are to these risks. That when you know this, you can then reduce the probability, the likelihood of things happening, and the consequences. The likelihood of having a flat tire, particularly in places where roads are bad, and the consequences, if it is at night, you don't want armed robbers to come around, The probability there will be fire, and the consequences of lost business when the fire out here. The probability of a second wave of coronavirus, COVID-19, and the consequences on our businesses. So the key question you should be asking is, what if it happens? But don't stop there. You have to say, what are we going to do? So the key lesson you must take at this point is, for crisis management, always try to get ready. There was an organization that prepared by storing documents in a different building, and people were saying, are you not wasting money? Why are you storing these documents in a different building as backup? In his mind, the crisis manager was saying, what if? And eventually something drastic happened, and they were able to move to the next building, where the building, not really the next door, but the building where he kept the document, and business could start the following day. Whereas others who did not do that in the same neighborhood could not start business immediately. So business continuity was achieved when the man asked himself, what if? And what are we going to do? Let's keep this document in a separate building as backup in case. So that should always be your thinking. Small things can cause big problem. I'm quoting this from one of my books. Small thing, just a small fire in one place, locality, can turn to a big fire that will consume the whole building. One small thing can cause big problem. A small virus, look at the big problem it has caused for the whole world. Even we can't see it with our naked eyes, but it's ravaging the whole world. So what do? You look at crisis management from 3 stages. 1, pre-crisis, the time when you get ready, the time when you ask question, what if? And when the crisis comes, you manage it. And the post-crisis stage, when you learn, it gives you the opportunity to learn, to reinvigorate, to review. That is what you should bear in mind about crisis. How long will a crisis last? This is one big question you can look at from different perspectives. But when there is corruption, when there is self-interest, some people can prolong crisis because it's benefiting them. So the duration is a function of how honest the managers are. So watch out. Some people, out of self-interest, may want to prolong the given crisis. So for crisis management plan, you need to have it written down. And you need to think about rehearsing. It must be comprehensive, it must be clear as regards who is going to lead, who are the team that will be involved in business places. You can appoint somebody as the head of the task force that will be dealing with the crisis. And members of his team must be people from different areas, diversity in the firm, so that they can be able to bring all those individual knowledge into a synergic situation for the team to perform in managing the crisis. Crisis management, now you must upgrade it frequently because things are changing around you. You can't just leave it there and say that we have written it. And please carry out periodic drill sessions. In hotel rooms, they will tell us tomorrow we are going to have mock fire drill. So everybody will hear the alarm. Why? They are upgrading their crisis plan and they are getting ready in case. They have asked themselves, what if there is fire? What are we going to do? And what are we going to do? We can practice it. What if there is a terrorist attack? What are we going to do? Then we can have a plan that we evacuate people. What if there is hurricane? What are we going to do? Then we can have a mock session in which, okay, there is hurricane. It's not really the mock one. So that's how we do it in life. Crisis management, I should address what happened before, during, and after the crisis. In the pre-crisis stage, you have to prepare. Pre-crisis preparation must include who is going to be leader, how are we going to respond as a team. The response should be organized. Response should be organized response. And you test it in advance so that when the real thing comes, you will be ready. What we need in a crisis situation is leadership. Who monitors, who scans the internal and external environment, who identify emerging patterns. Is it going up? Is it coming down? Is there a surge? Are we flexible enough? The crisis leader is the one who coordinates activities at home. You can be the crisis leader. Whether you are the husband or the wife in the given situation, you coordinate the situation, giving hope, helping people, and healing. Those each things are very, very important. Hope, help, healing. That is what the leader must do. The leader must not be somebody who is saying is hopeless. I can't help you, and there's no way we can heal this situation. We can. You have to be positive. So crisis leadership needs somebody who is proactive, who is thinking ahead, who has integrity, doesn't tell lies. Situational awareness is current. He knows what is going on right now. He's a team builder. He's a team player. He's flexible. When he surges, he's ready for the surge. If he goes down, he's ready for it. He's a strategic thinker. He's looking at it from different directions. Suppose it is like this. Suppose it is not like this. So looking at it both ways, asking for opinions from different sources, then thinking about tomorrow, thinking about inside, thinking about outside. That's what strategic thinkers do. That's emotional intelligence. He doesn't lose it. He balances emotion with logic. He knows himself. He knows the people around him, and he gets along with them. It's in self-control. Very decisive. This is what we should do because you don't have to be wavering and the crisis is escalating. You have to be decisive. You must be courageous. You don't have to have fear. Fear is a reaction. Courage is a decision. And it communicates effectively during the crisis situation so that there won't be misunderstanding. The crisis response team must be built out. It should be a good mix of the representatives from all sectors of the organization. Diversity is important. Accountant must be there, operations people must be there, marketing people must be there, doctors may also be there, nurses may be there, depending on the type of crisis you are facing in your organization. Ultimately, the best gauge to determine an organization readiness to respond to it is how it traces according to the following. 1, early detection. You don't want the crisis to fester and then you are not aware. It's better you can get a warning sign before it starts. That's why you find that for tsunami nowadays, there are early signs that are designed at the shores so that we can know that a tsunami is on the way. Early detection is very, very important. That's why you have satellites trying to monitor hurricane, and you have a written plan of organized response. And that written plan, I've told you, drill exercises. You must have a mock exercises to try and test so that when the rating comes, you are there. Readiness for a quick response, effective communication must be in place, and you must need an effective crisis leader to be able to do it properly. So a comprehensive crisis response plan based on what? Risk analysis. Where are you vulnerable? Is it in the area of documents? Is it in the area of fire? Is it in the area of armed robber? Is it in the area of pilfering that people can steal things and take them away without notice? Who is in charge of making key decisions? It must be clarified. Those roles must be clarified. Who is on the team and what their roles and responsibilities are? It must be clear in advance. All these things are things we do before the crisis. And how are we going to respond to the media inquiries? There must be somebody who is giving that authority during crisis. It is the one that will be the source of response to the media. Not everybody can be asked questions and say, what caused the fire? It's because they did not teach us how to use a fire extinguisher. And what do we hear in the newspaper to staff are not trained how to use fire extinguisher? Not everybody should talk to the press whenever there is crisis. So how the plan will be executed, that must be drawn out clearly, and then you have mock exercises. The benefit of doing this will be when it happens, you will be faster response, better judgment. Why? Because it's already tested. Ready and available resources, fewer costly mistakes, and less panic. Because once you have not tested it and you were trying to do it afresh during the crisis, during the rating, there may be panic. A small fire in the kitchen, and then the person there starts to run around and say, come and help. The first thing that you try and do something. Maybe if you just take a rag and then smother the fire and suffocate it, it will not become something that can burn the whole. So, but panic usually can cause that. That's why we need people who are emotionally intelligent to handle crisis situations. Quicker resolution of the crisis is what we want to have. Otherwise, it will continue to escalate. In many places in the world, they have a weather forecast. Weatherman will be telling you the hurricane. We are monitoring it. It will have landfall on Monday. So you have early detection, early warning, telling you that it's coming. When the hurricane comes, if you have taken notice of what the early warning is, maybe you have taped your windows, and make sure that wind will not be able to enter through some of the spaces in the doors. So when it comes, it's you are ready. It comes, it does all the damage it's going to do, and when it's gone away, damages things. And the people who are trained to respond to emergency, they have carried out mock exercises. When the rating is, they execute the plan and they make sure that things are as smooth as possible. You manage the crisis, doing what you call damage limitation and containment. That's why you tape your windows and doors and minimize the damage that the hurricane will cause. Effective response in the event of a crisis is critical for your organization survival, for your family survival, for your business survival. So such quick action can help to preserve the credibility and reputation of the organization that is leader during crisis. During the COVID-19 in my country, I look at the confirmed cases and I kept the records. I look at the total. I look at the people discharged and I look at the people who died. So in crisis management, this is what you do. You keep track so that you can then be able to look and be proactive. But because your job is to create hope, to emphasize hope, I pay attention to the discharged rather than saying death, confirmed cases, death, confirmed cases, death, ignoring discharged. So as a leader, crisis management, look at the opportunities, look at the threats, try and balance it. Don't just be negative and then it's hopeless. It's here. We know there are damages that are taking place. But if there is anything that you can use to create hope during crisis management, do it. Confirmed cases is what we have been emphasized. Death is what we hear. Total number of that's what you hear. You hardly hear people highlighting how many people are discharged, which is the positive part. So please create hope. And when things, because you are keeping track, when it's going up, from the record you can see, be flexible. That's what we call surge flex crisis management system, whereby you are getting ready sick beds in case more people contract the virus. So in the post-crisis stage, you look for opportunities, you learn your lesson, you rebuild, you reinvigorate, you review, and move on. Crisis management realities should be planned, prompt action, reducing damage, and the length of crisis is a function of those people who are benefiting from it. Managers who are benefiting from crisis can lengthen a crisis. Focus on response and avoid blame games. Important decisions made before crisis ever occurs. That is to say, in the pre-crisis stage, that is when you will actually do the things you want to do. Don't deny that you don't have a problem here when you know you have. It cannot happen here. It can happen. I cannot catch the coronavirus. I am too big for it. Denial. It's not happening here. It's only people who are rich who are contracting the virus. That is denial. Anger. How could this have happened? When you have this, it can affect logic. You may not be able to think clearly to manage anger. Avoid blame game. Don't blame other people. And if you panic, you will not be able to do the things you have to do properly, because in crisis there could be anxiety. And also you have to have balance between your feelings and logic. Feelings, panic, anxiety, they can block logic and you will not be able to think clearly anymore. The communication is the key when it comes to crisis management, so you must have a way in which you make your communications internally and externally effective. Roles and responsibility must be clarified in advance, and notice that because crisis calls media attention to themselves, you must get ready for media. Communication is the foundation of any crisis planning, implementation, management, and recovery effort. And when it comes to communication, trust is important. Once there is a trust deficit, when you communicate, people will not believe and say it's a lie. They are not telling the truth. They are hiding things. The best time to let stakeholders know what to do in an emergency is what? Before it happens. That's why you have to have awareness. You have to have mock exercises so that they know what to do. And when the real thing happens, it will just be like following. So in summary now, follow a well-designed emergency plan, carry out vulnerability analysis, identify likely crisis and an appropriate response, activate planned organized response, implement strategies. If you have to evacuate, you have to evacuate. If you are going to be locked down, you have lockdown. Communicate with key staff position at designated areas. Oversee emergency responses such as first aid and rescue services. Call for more aid if necessary. In summary, when the crisis has taken place and is all over, recovery, return to a daily routine so that you can have business continuity. Allow adequate time for recovery, but immediately draw up plans to resume. Maybe if it's a stick place to have your classroom and learning starting. In many places when there was this COVID, schools were closed down. And reopening became a very big issue in many countries. Should we reopen so that we expose our children to the virus? Or should we just take some of the precautions and take the risk? Why? Because some of the students had to take terminal exams. So recovery is what you have to think about in advance. And when it comes in, try to recover and reinvigorate. Monitor signs of PTSD, that's post-traumatic stress disorder. After the crisis, people may have post-traumatic stress disorder, nightmare of what we went through during the crisis. This type of thing must be prepared for and managed after the crisis. Conduct the briefing with first responders. What happened? You can ask your firemen, you can ask your nurses. What happened? Those people who rescue the people. Use suggestions to revise plan and conduct training and drills. The key question is, crisis take 3 stages: pre-crisis, crisis, and post-crisis. Are you ready? Are you prepared? How do you do it? You ask question. What if? What if there is a flat tire? What do I do? So do you carry your spare tire along? What if I die? What will happen? So what do? You write a will. What if there is fire? What do we do? We should get ready with a fire extinguisher. That is what we do. You get ready. Before a crisis situation, prepare. Train stakeholders to react in an organized way. Knowing what to do can be the difference between chaos. What to do, knowing it in advance. In case there is crisis, this is what we are going to do. It can be the difference between chaos and calm, or even life and death. Get ready for crisis before it happens. Thank you for your patience.